Good morning. It's currently 6:35 a.m. on Monday, June 8th, 2015. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just did this already, and I had just gotten up before that. This is 5 more minutes. So I just did this whole video and then realized it had no sound because of something that's been going on with my microphone and my mixer lately, where it'll be working and then it will just inexplicably stop making noise until I like jiggle it. And it would be one thing if it was just a loose connection and bumping it could make it stop, but sometimes I haven't touched it at all. It'll just be completely fine, just like this, working, and then it'll just not be working until I jiggle it around a little bit. It's very frustrating. And I feel like it's happening more and more now, and so that's aggravating. If I knew exactly which piece of this whole thing was the problem, I might replace that piece, but I don't. And I don't want to buy a new microphone only to discover that that's not the issue. I suppose I could... I've really been avoiding the problem, I suppose, because I think what I do have another XLR cable. I do have a different mixer I could use. I do, have this microphone. I could try various other solutions, and I have not put the effort into it because I'm mostly just, it's so sporadic a problem that I just feel like I want it to go away. Grr. Okay, well, so, it's not a super big deal in the grand scheme of things because generally, if I'm paying any attention, I can look at my mixer and see the little lights going on when I speak. And when it doesn't do that, I know that it is having its problem. But that means I have to keep watching it. And like I said, it'll sometimes just start to happen even when I have not touched it. Well, so what I was talking about before when I did this video already was the idea of if I could wave a magic wand, poof, and not need as much sleep. Like, let's say I only would need 2 hours of sleep, and that 2 hours would feel just as good as any sleeping that I do now, and I would be just as rested from 2 hours as from a full 8 hours of sleep. I feel like I would do that in a heartbeat. But this is a question that I have considered before, and I have spoken to people who insisted that they would not want to take that deal. And that is mysterious to me. Their argument, as far as I could understand it, was just that they enjoy sleeping. And I get that sleeping can be very pleasant, even pleasurable. It's because our brains are tricking us, right? Our brains make it feel good so that we'll do it. Same with eating or having sex. The idea is that it feels good, and so your brain makes it feel good so that you will do it. So I get that it can feel good, but most of the time when you go to sleep, you might have that nice little bit at the beginning where you say, I'm tired, but now I'm in bed and I can rest. And that feels good. And then if you don't have to get up with an early alarm in the morning, the part where you're saying you gradually come awake and you're like, I'm so comfortable here and I'm just going to snooze a little longer. That can feel good. But there's a whole stretch in between those two things where you're just completely unconscious and you don't have any memory of any of it. So, I don't understand why people wouldn't rather have that time back. Because I sure would. Yeah, if I could say just 2 hours of sleep a night, but then you still get the same bits at the beginning and end, that feels like a win-win to me. Like there's no negative aspect to that. It's not like some of the would you rather sorts of things where, you know, you get something good but have to accept something bad as a side effect. Like this to me would seem like there's no bad element of it, and yet I've talked to people who say they wouldn't want to do it. And if that's you, then please explain it to me, because I really don't get it, how you wouldn't just want to have more time. However, one of the things that's interesting about this question to me is you could naturally just extrapolate it to the next logical step, which is to say, what if you just didn't need to sleep at all? And you just never got tired. Like, you know, maybe you would get physically tired, but you would just not have, you'd have to stop running around. But you would never have to lay down and be unconscious. And you would have even more time then. And yet, I hesitate there, maybe just because it's very easy to imagine getting 2 hours of sleep and feeling rested, whereas not needing to sleep at all feels very qualitatively different and kind of not human in a way that makes my hindbrain a little uncomfortable. And maybe that's actually part of what's happening with people who are reluctant even to just say they would want to reduce the amount of sleep they need. I don't know. I suppose you could make the case that not needing to sleep at all, it's like, well, what if that would be like you don't need to eat anymore? Like you will never feel hungry, you will always be perfectly healthy, but you just don't need to eat anymore. Might raise the question of like, well, can you if you want? But like hypothetically, we might imagine that if you don't need to eat, then maybe it doesn't actually feel good and you wouldn't necessarily be interested. I don't know. Anyway, hopefully the sound actually stayed on throughout this one and I can be done with this video for today and move on for the rest of my day. All right, so I did put up the audio version of Watching 100 Movies over the weekend. So if you want to hear Mike and I discuss Rear Window and A Streetcar Named Desire, that's up now. And all my stuff goes up at christianaellis.com, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow for 5 more minutes.